It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's showtime. What's happening, everybody? The Geno Jones Show. So I'm coming to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles. Please, you and everybody you know and don't know, everybody that you like, that you love, folks you can't stand or hate, strangers or aliens from outer space. I don't care. I don't give a damn. Tell them all to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe, copy and paste the link, share the link, email the show. So subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all of my back episodes. So let me start today's show off, shouting out my Aries. We'll start off, because my monologue, listen, I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm going hard in the paint. But sometimes you really need to go hard to save lives and speak truth to power. First of all, today, happy birthday, March 28th, my Aries, Cheryl Denton. Cheryl James, actually. Cheryl James. You remember her? That's Salt from Salt and Pepa. So Salt is 57 today. Bernice King, she's a minister, lawyer, and daughter of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So Reverend Bernice King is 60 today, actually, 60. Now, 52 would be Mr. Cheeks. Rapper, used to be in a group called the Lost Boys. They had a song, Jeeps, Lex, Coupes, Beamers, and the Benz. Then he did a solo thing, lights, camera, action. So he's 52 today. One hit wonder from way back in 1986. My man Orange Juice Jones with the song, I Saw You Walking in the Rain. You alley cat, crumb catcher, alley cat. That don't touch this, what is it? $3,000, $4,000 Lynx coat. Oh, it's a classic song. That was a one-hit wonder. He had that one hit, but it was a hell of a hit. Orange Juice Jones, 64 today. Happy birthday to the original Juice Man, Orange Juice Jones, and one of my favorite performers, one of my favorite singers, one of my favorite people. She's going to be coming here in town April 29th. She's going to help us celebrate our 20th anniversary celebration. Us being my radio station, Star 99.7, celebrating their 20th anniversary and celebrating 20 years, being the #1 station here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro. Ledisi, actress, you know, she played Mahalia Jackson in the movie Selma. She played Mahalia Jackson in another movie. Ledisi, 51 today. A friend and a guest on the show. As a matter of fact, we're working on getting Ledisi back on since she's coming to town. So happy birthday, my sister Ledisi. Just a beautiful, beautiful spirit. So any other Aries out there celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday. Okay. There's been 131 mass shootings here in America in the first 93 days. So you can do the math. That's more than one mass shooting every week. 131 mass killings, mass shootings. This is day 93, or now would be 94. So that happened yesterday. So in the first 93 days of 2023, 131 mass murders. Yesterday, on Monday, 3 children, 3 9-year-old babies. So 3 kids, 3 9-year-olds were taken to school, sent to school, taken to school, and I'm sure in most cases, by their parents. At 9, I don't even know if they'd taken a bus. They went off to school, 3 9-year-olds, and never returned back home. 3 adults who work at the school also were murdered. The shooter A 28-year-old trans woman is dead. Now, what's the leading cause of death in America for children? What is the number one killer of children in America? Now, I just did a radiothon last week, Thursday and Friday. We talked about it here at the show. The Shawn Jenkins MUSC Medical University of South Carolina Children's Hospital. A hospital that saw over 200,000 children come through their doors in 2022. A hospital where I did a radiothon and I was honored and humbled and truly just, I was just really blessed to allow myself to be a vessel, to be a blessing to children. A hospital where over 200 children at that moment, Thursday and Friday, were patients above me at the Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital in MUSC. And I met kids who doctors didn't think they would survive cancer, who came into the world 4 days old, 4 weeks old, not even a year, with conditions and diseases that nearly took their life, where doctors didn't expect for some of these kids that I met to live, period. So being in an environment to where they treat probably, if they see 200,000 children come through the doors of that hospital every year. Unfortunately, they are treating thousands of children with childhood cancer, children who needed heart transplants, organ transplants, birth defects that in some cases were fatal, and in other cases were nearly fatal, but they survived. The number one killer of children is not cancer. It's not heart disease like it is for adults. Heart disease and cancer, the top killers of adults in America. But you know what the number one killer of children are? And it's not car accidents, because you had children who would be in that hospital, the Shawn Jenkins MUSC Children's Hospital, from being in a horrific car accident. It's none of that. The number one killer of children in this country is not cancer. It is not car accidents. It's guns, firearms, being shot in many cases, like what happened to those 9-year-olds yesterday, their bodies mutilated. And in some cases, like down in Uvalde, Texas, where those elementary school kids, many of those children, their body was mutilated beyond recognition. Their parents had to have a closed casket because their body was so torn apart and mutilated. You couldn't show it. It would just traumatize those families and people that much more. So we say in America, children are our top priority, and we love our children, and we'll do anything for our children. Kids are the most important thing and our number one priority. You got politicians and people in power that tell that lie every day. Now, some maybe a part of them might mean it, but when it comes time to put that into action, those words and that power into action, too many times these politicians and people in power are missing in action, or they're bought and paid for by organizations like the NRA, the National Rifle Association. Just think about it. This is 13 weeks, the 13th week of 2023. We are 13 weeks in, and already 131 mass shootings in 13 weeks. You can do the math. That is crazy. What the hell is going on? We already had the Uvalde school shooting, elementary school shooting. You would think that would have been enough. Now we had the school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee on Monday. So, what do we do? Well, listen. I don't know why anybody needs an assault rifle, an AR-15 style assault rifle, unless you're in the military or law enforcement. Now, hold on and miss me with the Second Amendment. Okay, look, hold on. So let's talk about it. 20 million, there are 20 million of these assault weapons. There are 20 million of these AR-15 style assault weapons guns in circulation in America right now. Now, I know it's tricky because, especially for black folks, because there were times the Second Amendment didn't apply to black folks. It didn't apply to the formerly enslaved for obvious reasons, right? Because the slave owners were afraid that the enslaved people would get guns, because it did happen. There were slave revolts, and they would kill the people who were oppressing them to get their freedom. And still, all these states like Texas, you don't need a permit, you don't need a license, you don't need a background check. You can just go and buy a gun in Texas, like you could go buy a can of soda. No background check, no nothing. You could be mentally unstable. You could have some kind of mental condition that you're supposed to be on medication for, like this person who killed the 6 people, the 3 babies and the 3 adults in Nashville, according to her parents, that she had some type of medical, emotional condition that required her to be on medication. I don't know what happened with that. And many states, Florida, here in South Carolina. Here in South Carolina, you can go into a bar. In most cases, unless the bar, they have to explicitly have signs that says, no weapons in here. You can go into a bar in South Carolina with a firearm. Now think about that. Can you think of fewer? I can't think of too many worse combinations to have, especially you got. And I keep in mind this was a transgender female shooter, but just think about it. Or transgender man, forgive me, my bad. Let me just correct myself. But I can't think of too many worse combinations. You got people with issues, anger issues, egos, alcohol, and guns. Unlimited amount of guns. And literally in a lot of places, even these AR-15 style weapons. You can literally walk down, like in Texas, you could walk down the street. We saw it in Wisconsin. Folks walking down the street who were not police officers. The kid that killed the 2 people, I can't even think of his name. Yeah, that little jackass. It'll come to me, but it's irrelevant. I don't even want to dignify him by mentioning his name. The point that I'm trying to make in so many states, especially, listen, these southern states, I'm right here in South Carolina, Tennessee. Well, the Second Amendment, Geno, says that I have a right, we as citizens have a right to keep and bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed upon. Yeah, but you know what it also means? It means that your right to bear arms, to keep and bear arms, even though you weren't keeping and bearing AR-15 style weapons when the Second Amendment was written and drafted in the late 1700s, because they didn't have those type of weapons. There were laws passed in the 30s when you had Al Capone and when you had the mafia and you had a lot of these organized crime, the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Do you know what The federal government did. The president, the Congress, I believe Franklin Roosevelt was the president. They banned machine guns. So you're not legally allowed to own a machine gun. But that happened with the Second Amendment in place. It was like, well, yeah, you have a right. You have a right to keep and bear arms, but just not any. You don't have a right to keep and bear any kind of weapon. We had an assault weapons ban back in the 90s, and we saw fewer people were killed. Now, I hear you, so just stop. Just stop. Sit down and shut up, Second Amendment writers. And I get it. Listen, there are folks in my family, they had guns. I get that. But just think about what I said. There are 20 million assault-style weapons in circulation right now. Now, like I said, it's tricky because the Second Amendment never really applied for black folks and to black folks like it did for white people, and it really still doesn't. All these stand your ground laws, because there's data, there's science, there's statistics, data that shows that even in states where they have these stand your ground, which means I have a right to stand my ground, and if I feel threatened, I have a right to use deadly force. In those cases, black people are convicted several times more, even in states that have the stand your ground laws. So stand your ground laws, black people are still convicted several times higher, even when they use a stand your ground defense. It's not recognized by juries and judges anywhere near as much as it does when it's a white person that shoots and kills somebody and invokes their stand your ground, the stand your ground law. So the law, because the laws in America were never applied equally, and they're still not. That's just a fact. And there's numbers behind it. Today, there's data. You can Google that. So there's an argument to be made for black folks just watching this saying, well, man, Geno, listen, this whole MAGA cult and all these Orange Hitler followers, with all these assault weapons, the majority of these 20 million people that own assault weapons, probably, part of that whole MAGA cult Trump, that MAGA cult, and I get it. And you might be right, but there's a significant number of black people who do have assault-style weapons. Second of all, the government, this government, President Biden, you all lied about President Barack Obama and said, oh, he's going to come and come. That's when you really lost your mind. But you lost your mind because it was a black man. You couldn't envision a black man being the president of the United States. What are you afraid of? You think black people are going to take power and do to you, white person in America, what you have done to black people in America and Native American people in America? Not just here, but in South America, all over the planet? No. And then remember, this whole concept of whiteness, it's not rooted in science and biology, because there's nothing in the human genome or the DNA chain that differentiates, oh, this is a white person. No. Just get a DNA test. Tell me when it comes back and it says, oh, I'm 85% white. I'll wait, because it's not going to happen. Whiteness is a concept and a construct that was made up for a small handful of people to control the economic and the political and social power that started in Europe in around 1681. Because everybody that came, all those ancestors, everybody's ancestor who immigrated to America, You know, for Africans who immigrated, Africans, our ancestors from Africa, they didn't immigrate. It was forced immigration. They were literally bought and taken by force. All right. But for those Europeans whose ancestors immigrated from Ireland, from Italy, from China, from Germany, from Eastern Europe, when your ancestors got here, you weren't considered white. Actually, you were looked down upon in many cases, looked down upon like the N-word. You had anti-immigration laws against Italians and the Irish in the 1800s. That the U.S. government, just like these anti-immigration laws you got people trying to create now, they had that because they were trying to keep those in power who didn't feel that the Irish or the Italian immigrants were worthy of being in this club and power structure called whiteness. Eventually, so they could keep the numbers and keep the power, they eventually let the Irish immigrants in and the Italian immigrants in and the German immigrants in and the Polish immigrants and to some degree, lesser degree, the Chinese immigrants and the Russian immigrants and the other immigrants from Eastern Europe. So let's just tell it like it is. So, but the Second Amendment is always, it never really fully applied for black folks, and it really still doesn't. It may be on paper, but the law doesn't apply it that way. Trust me. Let a black person walk down the street of Texas with an assault weapon ban and see how long that lasts before, see if he even survives that walk. Well, the white person in Texas could walk down the street with an assault weapon. No big deal. Not my opinion, it's just a fact. Look at the data. Like I said, stand your ground laws and so many laws in terms of where people use self-defense as a defense in court. White people who use self-defense as a defense are convicted several times less than black people. A black person using self-defense as a defense in court is going to be convicted, I can't remember the numbers, multiple times. Their chance for being convicted is going to be multiple times higher. 3, 4, 5, depending on the data, maybe even 7 times higher, depending on the data and the state. Okay, we got enough assault weapons. It's time to ban the assault weapons again. And I say, black folks, if you're worried about when the ban comes, go get your assault weapon. How about this? I know how to get an assault weapons ban. How about every adult in America? Let's get everybody an assault weapon. How about that? Which, in truth, I really don't think is a good idea at all. But if there was a concerted effort to where it's like, all right, every black person in America, every brown person, Afro-Latino brother and sister, Afro-Asian brother and sister, go out, make sure that because you have to protect yourself because you don't know these same people, these same domestic terrorists that stormed the U.S. Capitol and are still talking about death and destruction. Orange Hitler sending out that, not even a dog whistle, but that bullhorn. It's going to be death and destruction. Yeah, that's what your boy Orange Hitler said at his little event. So, all black adults in America, go get your assault weapon. And then let's shut it down. Let's see if that was to really happen. And if those people who really have evil in their heart, even the ones that don't, I guarantee you, because it would send shockwaves, they'd be, oh snap. Now think about who benefits from this fear that's being spread? The gun manufacturers. So I say ban assault weapons, register every person with a gun, just like with a car or a boat. register every weapon, every person, and every person, they have to register and get insurance for every gun. Require every gun owner to have insurance for every gun that they own. Just like if you have multiple houses, you got to have insurance on every house. If you've got 3 or 4 cars, you got to have insurance. If you are using those cars, if you are driving those cars, you got to have insurance on each and every one of those cars. And I've even heard law enforcement suggest this idea, which I think is great. I actually agree with law enforcement in this case. Because we have the technology, every bullet that's sold, that person that buys the bullet, they should have to, like a fingerprint, register like a fingerprint, your own personal fingerprint, or have every bullet have that fingerprint, that signature of that bullet tied to the person who bought it. So even if somebody steals a gun and somebody else uses a stolen gun to commit a murder, we're going to find the person who originally had the gun and say, hey, yo, this is your gun, right? So we're going to hold you responsible. You're going to be held liably. You're going to be liable criminally and civilly. That means you're going to be held accountable to be charged with a crime, and for the victims or the victim's family to sue you, to seek out some type of financial compensation for pain and suffering and damages and all that good stuff. Why not? If you got to have an insurance, for you, in a lot of places, you have to have a license to go fishing. And we have to have an insurance. If you have a motorcycle, it has to be insured. You own a home. In many places, to rent an apartment, you have to have renter's insurance. So, require every person, first with background checks. And over 70, almost 80% of the country, so that means even a lot of these MAGA cult members, like, well, yeah, we think, yeah, some of y'all do need a background check, because everybody, well, when Nelly say everybody don't need to have a gun. Like, I'm sure they wouldn't be really happy if they found out, like, black people, like, by the millions, were just going out buying assault weapons. I'm just saying. Listen, here's the bottom line. Enough is enough. I don't want to hear another politician. I don't want to hear a person in power. I don't want to hear the NRA. And I've had this conversation with some people who I'm very good friends with, black people. And I get it. It's really complicated. The government, first of all, or lastly, for those who are worried that, well, it's a slippery slope and the government's going to come in and they're going to come to your house and they're going to take all your guns. If the government really wanted to come to your house and take all your guns, they would do it. And really, there's nothing you can do about it. I don't care how many guns you have and how much ammunition. You can have all the body-piercing ammunition and all the the armor suits. Trust me, if the government really wanted to come for your ass, because one thing I can promise you, and I learned that from a family member who was made a career in the military over 20 years in the Marines. He said, cuz, let me explain something to you. The United States military will never, ever, ever be outgunned. So if the government really wanted to come and get your guns, all the guns that you bought from these gun stores or these shows they have, these gun shows, some of y'all making your own, trust me. The government has technology that you won't even see in a movie for another 20 years. This going on right now. So miss me with, well, the second and, a right to bear arms and a well-regulated militia. Well, a lot of you all are not regulated. Just running around with these AR-15 style weapons. Like the little kid, Kyle Rittenhouse. That's a little kid, left Illinois. Mama took his ass to Wisconsin. He was up there when you had the protest for the brother that got shot, paralyzed by the police. And he's out, he shot and killed 2 people. So he was trying to protect the community and help law enforcement. Your little ass ain't had no training. You still in high school. Help how? You don't even know what the hell you were doing. So I digress. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. You, and especially you. And God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. You and everybody you know, like, love, can't stand, hate, strangers, aliens from outer space. Tell them all to please subscribe to the show. Subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Share, copy and paste the link. Share and like every episode. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show, the CEO of Designer Cuts here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro area, Goose Creek to be exact, which is a suburb of Charleston. Kel be cutting up. That's his handle, and that's his name or his handle or whatever you want to call it. Find him on IG, on Instagram. Kel be cutting up. KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones is the drip director. She is the official wardrobe consultant and stylist. For the Geno Jones Show, she is on Instagram, LX.NCL underscores, that little dash below. LX.NCL underscore. And shout out to Bruce Gage, also wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, the Mario Uomo collection, the Flyball collection. He is Miglio, the Mario Uomo. That's MIGILIO DIMARIO UOMO. MIGILIO DIMARIO UOMO. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be on Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Once again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Hello to my mother, my number one fan, my executive producer, my agent, my PR, my head of publicity, my public relations director and all that, Mary Dixon. I love you more than life itself. And Allie Boo, maybe you're watching with Grandma. Daddy loves you. I'll FaceTime. I'll see you lovely ladies later. Yes, I will in a few minutes. All right, listen. I'm out of here. I'll see you live Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Go back. If you missed some of the show, go back and binge watch this and then this and just go back and binge watch them all. Pop you some popcorn. Sit back, relax. Your little favorite drink, your libation. Some water. How about that? Drink some water. And enjoy the Geno Jones Show. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you live again Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.